in my most recent summer review, I talked about 2 European games that I've gotten in the summertime. That was A Short Hike on Switch. It was released everywhere, but it was only released physically in Europe, and the Swedish Hockey League games, because of course I am Swedish, so I was really excited to get those. Now, I have more to talk about PAL region games, but I did want to take the time to just sort of make a clearinghouse for all the PAL region games I've gotten over time. So we're just going to kind of yap about them. I don't have any notes about any of them. We're just going to talk. But everything here I've shown off before at some point in the past. But to go along with next week's hopefully really, really big finale, I think this is pretty neat. So let's get right into it. The first 2 games we'll talk about are out of the same series, out of the Star Fox series, but in Europe they got some different titles. So I believe Star Fox in Germany was a company, so early on Nintendo didn't want to run into copyright issues in Europe, so instead of Star Fox on the Super Nintendo, they got Star Wing on the Super Nintendo. So if you've seen this channel, you've seen me talk about Super Famicom games a couple times, but yeah, these cartridges look like Super Famicom cartridges, but they're called Super Nintendo games, which is pretty interesting. But anyway, yeah, so the original Star Fox was Star Wing, and for the same reason, Europe didn't get Star Fox 64, they got Lylat Wars 64. So Lylat, I believe, is the universe that Star Fox occurs in. I think this was really cool. I would have gotten it loose, but I was like, I might as well go big. Shipping from Europe is so expensive, so I ended up going for the big box version that has the Rumble Pack, and it's pretty cool because I also have the big box Rumble Pack versions in North America and Japanese, those Star Fox 64 games. So that's pretty cool. These are 2 interesting pieces of direct Nintendo history. The next one is actually 2, but yeah, interesting releases there for a very famous series. And then another series that is pretty much only popular in Europe, but I guess you could say it's a little popular in Japan, even if not quite the same. But that is Doshin the Giant. So I have 2 Doshin the Giant games. One is in German and one is in French, I am pretty sure. The problem with collecting PAL games is that if you really go deep in the variants, Europe is a melting pot when it comes to languages. So if you want to collect all the variants to a game, you might be getting tons of different variants in languages. So again, I only have 2 here, but I know there is at least 3 more language versions of Doshin the Giant in Europe. We didn't get it here in North America, so even in more interesting piece of Nintendo history, since these were published by Nintendo. Also, I think Doshin the Giant started as like a 64 DD game in Japan, so like that's kind of crazy. But anyway, I think there's also Spanish, Italian, and an English one, so I definitely want to get those. I don't know if there's more languages, but like if you really want to get weird, you can also get into all the ratings. And if the ratings don't match the language, that's another problem. So I'm probably, if I ever finish the Doshin the Giant variants, I'm probably only going for languages. But it is still cool to add 2 of these. Like I said, published by Nintendo. So a couple different interesting pieces here. Anyway, moving ahead, we also have, we have a game for a system that I really, really love, but I bought it just because it was with all the games that I'm about to show. That is F1 2002 on PS2. But yeah, there's really not much I can say here. I bought it because it happened to be cool and cheap from the same seller that I bought the next games from. But at the very least, Europe got cool blue cases for the PS2. That's pretty neat. But anyway, I bought that just as a throw into the next games. And that is Moomin stuff. So we've talked about Moomin on this channel. As the story goes, when I was growing up, we had a family friend who was very, very close to us, and she is from Finland. So when we were watching, say, SpongeBob, she would tell us about how she watched Moomin. And Moomin is basically this media franchise that started as, I want to say, a cartoon, as an animation, but kind of like many Japanese media franchises we've talked about, it's kind of spread into a whole bunch of different things. So after talking to her, and after this, I mean, I would talk to her as a kid, but as an adult, I'm like, oh, there's Moomin games? I'll collect those because they remind me of that person. And yeah, I don't know. So I have a couple different Moomin games. There's other Moomin games. There's one that is like Japanese exclusive. I'm also missing one, so I'll get to that in just a sec. But to go along with F1 2002, I got 4 Moomin PC games. 2 of these are the exact same. They're just different variants. Why did I buy both? I don't know. But that's a Moomin. That this one is also Moomit, right? I don't have a Finnish accent in the slightest, but there's also Moomit and this one too. So 4 Moomin PC games, I don't know. But the other 2 that I'm way more qualified to talk about, I'm not at all qualified to talk about PC games. There is Moomin's Tale on Game Boy Color. This was only released in Europe. There's also a Japanese version, so that's pretty neat too, but very cool. The cartridge has like some very slight differences between like this cartridge and a North American cartridge, where like this triangle in the corner that says only for Game Boy Color is pretty unique. The Nintendo seal is circular, so this is pretty cool to add. But the last Moomin game I'm going to show is a DS game. So there were 3 DS games. One of them is Japanese exclusive. The other 2 are European exclusives. This is one of them, and in the unlikely event that you are in Europe watching this, I really want the other one. Specifically, I want the other one in Finnish. So I have found the other PAL DS exclusive Moomin game, but it's in, I want to say Norwegian. I'm pretty sure it's a language, right? But it's not in Finnish. And this one, it says even in the corner, like, we speak Finnish. So I really, really want to get the Finnish version. So in the unlikely event anybody in Europe is watching this, if you can help me find that last Moomin game on DS, I would be very eternally grateful. And then, just a few more things that we'll talk about. This one was a weird one. I got this at Retro Game Con like 2 years ago, and it was just like a random thing the seller had, and it was cheap. And I was like, it's a brand new 3DS game that we didn't get here. And that is Kokoto Alien Brick Breaker. I'm probably mispronouncing that or using the syllables wrong in Kokoto. But the Kokoto games are apparently huge in Europe. I did not know what on God's green earth this was when I got it, but just through researching other things, I come across Kokoto stuff so frequently, but all of it is only in Europe. So that's really, really weird. And it's Brick Breaker, but I guess in this series, so that's kind of weird, but yeah, I don't know. This is kind of a cool guy. I'm glad to have it. Sort of the last thing I'll show off is 4 PAL Switch games. I actually have way more PAL Switch games, but these are just ones that I wanted to pull out and talk about just because they're the ones you can say most attached to, but also they're the most interesting. I don't need to show off all of them. So the first one is Abzu, if you're able to see it, published by Super Rare Games. This did come to North America on PS4, but not on Switch. So the only reason I have this one and paid so much for this one is because it's the Switch release. I don't really collect PS4, PS5 games, but of course I collect Switch games. So when this one came into the game store I used to work at, I was like, oh, I want that one. And this was pretty pricey, but this is pretty cool. The next PAL Switch game is Klonoa Fantasy Reverie series, which I believe is a compilation of the first 2 Klonoa games. So Klonoa is here in North America, but kind of like one of these obscure series that either you know about or you don't know about. I believe the first game is on PlayStation 1 and is ridiculously expensive. I know there is at least one Game Boy Advance game. There is, I'm pretty sure, a PS2 game. There's a Wii game, and I don't know what else we've gotten here in North America for Klonoa, but I believe Klonoa is more popular elsewhere. So they're just platforming games, 2D platforming games, 2.5D platforming games, I guess, if you want to be specific, I'm pretty sure. And this one came out a couple years ago, and I wanted to get it. I do want to play this at some point. This is on my current backlog list. And that's another cool one. This one I've shown off pretty recently because I think I got this pretty recently. This might have actually been at a Too Many Games. From Super Rare Games, the same. This is Lil Gator Game. This game and A Short Hike remind me so much of each other. And I don't know. This is pretty cool. He's a cute little guy, Lil Gator Game. I think very inspired by Legend of Zelda games, I'm pretty sure. So that's cool. And the last PAL game, I got this one at the Too Many Games from, not a PAL seller, just VGNY, who gets a lot of import games, and that is The Many Pieces of Mr. Koo, the Fantabulous Edition. I don't know, he's just a funny guy. I remember the first time I talked about this, I was like, I recognize this guy from somewhere, but I have not been able to find anything about this guy. So this might just be a single game. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, that's most of the PAL games that I have that I wanted to show off. And like I said, hopefully next week we have something really big to show off. If it's not next week, then I don't know what's going to happen. But the last thing I'm going to show off is, how could I forget all of my copies of Handball?